I'm Iris Ruth Pastor, and we're here for a little small talk today with pediatrician Marcy Baker. Welcome, Marcy.
Thank you.
My understanding is that much of your work deals with the care and the feeding and the nurturing of one of our important resources, which are our kids. And today's discussion is going to focus on how rearing kids today differs from our raising children in past generations and some of the unique challenges that we face as parents and grandparents in ensuring that our offspring are healthy. So with all the terrible food choices around, and I'm talking about like fast food all over the place, the terribly unhealthy foods that the kids get in the cafeteria, it really is important and hard to keep our children eating in a healthy manner. So what advice do you give to parents as far as how do you avoid fast food? How do you avoid making junk food the forbidden fruit if you want your children to eat nutritionally?
It's a difficult question and it's hard. I think one thing that I encourage parents to do is, and studies have shown this over and over, is try to eat in more. But then how do busy parents do that? It's so easy to go through the drive-through. One thing that I personally do as a working busy mom is I actually prep things on Sunday. I'm lucky I get my husband to go to the grocery store for me on Sundays, but that means I have to make a list and plan out my meals for the week. And then I prep stuff on Sunday. So I know I look at our calendar for the week, see what we have, and really try to plan things out that we can eat at home as much as possible. I also talk to busy parents about, even if you're not that motivated, you can pick up a rotisserie chicken in Publix just as quickly as you can drive through the drive-through at McDonald's. As far as not making these, and you need to have healthy food in your house, you need to have fruits and vegetables. And again, you can cut those up and wash those on Sundays over the weekend and have them just sitting in your refrigerator. Or things are cut already and washed for you at the grocery store. You pay a little more, but just go in there, pick them up, and have them in your house. As far as not making junk food the forbidden fruit, that is difficult. It really is. I tell people try not to have it in your house very much so you don't have to say no to your kid all the time when they're running to the pantry for a snack. You don't say, no, don't eat that. Nobody needs unhealthy food in the house. So if you have healthy food in your house, you try to eat in more often. Then occasionally, of course, you're going to go out to eat. You're going to hit fast food. Your kid's going to have a party at school and, get junk food. There's plenty of junk food around. It's just a matter of in moderation. You can't tell your kid, no, don't eat that cake and ice cream at the birthday party you're going to. Even overweight kids, we talk about this all the time. Don't have ice cream and cake every night in your house, but when you go to a birthday party, please have ice cream and cake. I want you to, because otherwise it does become the forbidden fruit.
I had an experience with one of my sons where I wouldn't keep any soft drinks in the house. So one mother whose house he went over all the time to play with her son said to me, as soon as Sam comes over, he goes crazy with the Cokes. So that's when I started kind of reintroducing them so they wouldn't be forbidden. But I know comes up quite a bit is with everybody's busy schedules, how important the family dinner is. So how does that factor into, making sure that your children eat a proper breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the mealtime?
There's been study after study after study about how good family meals are, and not just against obesity and pro-eating healthy. It fights drug abuse and many, many other things. It's a time where you can sit down as a family and have a minute together and talk and connect and say, how was your day? I feel like it's really important to have family meals. And again, it gets back to what I'm saying earlier. It doesn't have to be a whole big thing, but you guys should really look at your calendar. I do hear a lot of times that parents are, they're feeding this kid on the way to this practice and that, or kids eat earlier and parents eat later. That is just a setup to feed your kids whatever, to feed your kids mac and cheese. How many times, hopefully, parents are not sitting down and having a dinner of mac and cheese cooks. We have one meal. This makes your kids less picky eaters. We have one meal. Eat it, don't eat it. It's not a lot of pressure to say, eat your vegetable, eat your vegetable. You just put out the food. You can sit there and eat your vegetable and say, ooh, this broccoli's so delicious. But don't to your child, eat your broccoli, eat your broccoli, eat your broccoli. Everybody just sits, has a pleasant meal together, and the kids eat it or don't eat it. If they don't eat it, they go to bed hungry. And you know what? Eventually, after you keep this policy in your house for a while, they'll realize, hey, you know what? Maybe I better eat what I'm being served, and they'll become better eaters. And it just works from the young child, that's kind of who I'm talking about now, but even up to the teen of having the time if you can. And I know there's sporting events, there's so much going on, but if you can sit down and have dinner as a family, it just gives you time to connect and usually have a healthier meal than you would on the run.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Also, there's this whole issue about grazing where children are fed every couple of hours, little teeny snacks. And I see that a lot now. How does that impact the child's health? And then it seems to me they're not hungry for dinner because they've been snacking all day.
Of course not. And those also are the picky eaters. Because if you think about the snack food, you give them this Air Puffs or whatever you're giving them all day. Kids do not need to graze all day. They should have 3 meals and 2 snacks, which really is what we should be having, is what they say, smaller portion, more frequent meals. So they should have 2 meals and 3 meals and 2 snacks. They should be at pretty much set times every day. They should be sitting at the table usually. If you have to be on the move for some of your snacks, that's okay. But I often come in with the kids that are picky eaters or, don't eat very much at dinner like you're saying or at the meals because they've been grazing all day. It's just not a good idea. It's not good for your teeth. And by the way, since we're talking about this, I'll throw in one of my things is kids should not be drinking calories along with the grazing all day. Sometimes they're sippy cupping juice all day. That is not a good idea. And the older kids are drinking too many calories again with sodas, juices, all this stuff. Even things they think are healthier, the vitamin waters. Now there's a vitamin water zero, you got to look. But just for health and weight in general, there's just no reason to drink calories except for skim milk. That's what I tell people. The only calories you should be drinking are skim milk. And again, like we talked about earlier, a soda once or twice a week when we go out to dinner or whatever. Sure, not that you can never have a soda, but really kids consume way too many calories that they drink.
That's a good point. Is there any difference, you think, in the way Jewish parents raise their children versus the non-Jewish parents? Do you see anything really glaring in what we do that the rest of society doesn't?
I think in Jewish parents, sometimes when they're little, it depends. It's almost age, and maybe some Jewish parents are older too. They let their children walk all over them a little more than they should sometimes, I think. Okay. And I don't even know if this is all just Jewish parents, but parents in general these days, talking about parenting in the past versus now. And I think it's important for us to know that we're the parents. It again kind of goes back, if we're talking about nutrition, to this short order cook thing. No, you serve the food. You decide where, when, and what they eat, and they decide whether they're going to eat it. And, I've had parents come in and there's certain things, well, they cry if I tell them no to that or this and that. And I said, well, I have parents come in who say, my kids cry in the car seat. Okay? Little kids who have to be in car seats.
Right.
The parent in a million years would never take their kid out of the car seat. They just drive the car and the kid cries. What are you going to do? They ask me about it sometimes and I say, what are you going to do? And they're like, well, nothing, I guess. So I tell those parents when other things come up where they really should be holding the line and they don't because their kid's crying or, kind of trying to manipulate them a little bit, that think about that issue with the car seat. You would never let your child out of the car seat, and it's for their good, their own good, their safety.
It's a very good point.
Focus that on other parenting things too, and just kind of stand your ground. So that's one thing I notice. I think Jewish parents are very supportive of their children and very interested in their children's life and their children's education, and I think that's a really good thing. But I do think, especially when kids are a little bit younger, that we are the parents and we need to, pick your battles. But once you pick a battle, you need to stick to it.
I think that's wonderful advice. Thank you, Marcy. I really appreciate it. I'm Iris Ruth Pastor, a contributor to Let My People Grow, which is an outreach and engagement initiative.